From Chicago streets to the courts beat, Sal Scott Dan on the podcast seat. Bulls breaking news, talking stats and views. Every player, every play, we never lose. Horns over hoops, we're the Bulls troop. From game analysis to fan scoop.
What is good, Horniac Nation and Bulls fans worldwide? And welcome back to another action-packed episode of the Horns Over Hoops podcast. I am your host for the evening, Sal Bass. Dan Gracie and Scott Berman have the night off. Dan Gracie is actually on the sunny beaches of St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. So shout out to Dan Gracie for being in a tropical paradise while I'm freezing my behind off in Chicago. So shout out to Dan. But ladies and gentlemen, joining me today is a very, very special guest. He's somebody that I've been meaning to have on the show for quite some time now, not just because of how genuine of a human being he is, but just because of how dominant of a presence he is in the Chicago Bulls community. You've seen him featured on Bulls Without Borders. You've read his literary masterpieces on Bulls on Tap. And finally, he is the founder and leader of the greatest Chicago Bulls Discord in the game, Bulls HQ. And you already know he's the GOAT because he's got Jordan in the name. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jordan Gilty. Welcome, Jordan.
How we doing, man? How we doing? Thank you. Hey, Sal, man, you the GOAT. You know who Bruce Buffer is from UFC?
I don't.
Man, Justin will tell you all about him, but you're Bruce Buffer. He's like the greatest announcer of all time. Like, he's up there. And definitely, man, you got me ready to go to war, man. Thank you for that intro, dog. That was amazing.
No. Pleasure's all on this end of the table, dude. I'm truly grateful to have you on this interview today. I've been meaning to do this interview for a while because, like I told you before we started here, I feel like us as content creators, people are just so used to turning on, their phone or their computer and just listening to our content, but they never truly get to see, they never get to hear our story. They never get to hear how you came to be, how the fandom in you grew, how that fire came ablaze and took over. It was only my pleasure to sit down with you and give these listeners some background into who you are.
Yes, sir.
But Gilty, I can't wait to talk Bulls basketball with you. But as you guys know, we start every single episode of Horns Over Hoops with a little game I like to call Tuesday Trivia. I ask you a trivia question. If you know it, cool. If you don't know it, I'll tell you the answer. So you ready to start?
Yes, sir.
All right. Today's Tuesday Trivia was inspired by tanking because tanking seems to be the hot topic taking over the NBA today.
Yeah.
So you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Hope so.
All right. So while everyone knows that tanking gives you an improved odds of capturing the number one overall pick, being the worst team does not necessarily guarantee it. In fact, this team in 1982 not only won the NBA championship, but was fortunate enough to capture the number one pick in that draft. My question to you, Gilty, is what was the team? And for bonus points, can you tell me who they picked number one overall?
Dear God. I mean, I was born in 94, so already I'm out of my range here. I'm just going to take a shot in the dark. Let's just go. I'm feeling the Los Angeles Lakers and took Magic Johnson.
Oh, man, you got the team right. Yeah, it was the Lakers.
Okay. We halfway there.
I'm impressed, man. Yeah, so in 82...
Just threw a shot in the dark.
That was good, man. In 1982, the Lakers not only won the championship, they got the first overall pick, and they picked James Worthy with the first overall pick.
All right.
Right on, man. So it just
that
goes
feels
to show
good,
you
man.
Yeah. It just goes to show you that you don't need to be the worst team to get the number one overall pick. You just gotta play your chess pieces right during the season.
Yeah, true.
Well, Gilty, we have a ton of Chicago Bulls basketball to talk about, but before we dive into that, before we dive into the team that united you and me here today, I would like to take some time and really shine some spotlight on you because I feel like you put in so much work into this Bulls community and you've accomplished so much that I feel you need to be recognized for that. So if you'll allow me, I'd like to ask you a few questions and allow the community to truly get to know you, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right, so let's get started. For starters, take me back to the beginning. Take me back to the beginning when you decided to dip your feet into content creation. Like, how did you become a Bulls fan? Like, how did you become a basketball fan?
Man, basketball is my life, man. Well, it was my life. Like every kid, you think you're going to the NBA. So spending time just bouncing with my dad, back and forth between Chicago and suburbs. It's just basketball was so instilled into me and my brother's heads, and I'm from the area where D Rose is from. So the South Side, over East, we call it, man. He's from Inglewood, but I'm a little further away. Shout out to Mike Walton, Stony Island. So just over there, man, everything is about basketball, especially growing up in Chicago. It's basketball or music. You wanted to be a rapper, you want to be an NBA player or both, so for me, man, ball was just ingrained in me from a very young age. When I didn't start watching the Bulls though until D Rose came around, because my cousin he went to his school, and so he would tell me and my little brothers like, "Hey, you need to come to the games with me and watch Pooh." And so I think that was 8th grade. I still thought I was going to the NBA, so I didn't care about none of my older cousin's friends. Little did I know it was D Rose, but granted, so he's telling me my brother's like, "Hey man, you need to come to the school and watch Pooh play." And I'm like, "Pooh? I don't want to watch nobody named Pooh play basketball. Like, what are you talking about?" And he'd be like, "No man, trust me, man. Like y'all trying to go to the league, you need to come watch someone who's gonna make you better." And again, we were just like, man, whatever. That age of being in 8th grade, you think you know everything. So we were like, man, whatever. But, my friends, they were telling me like, "Hey, we got somebody that might go to the league from Chicago." I'm like, "Oh, what's his name?" And they tell me Derrick Rose, and I find out that was Pooh. So by that time, though, it was too late. I had already missed all the games, but because I knew that was my cousin's friend, it just made me want to watch that much more, knowing that somebody from my neighborhood could be going to the NBA. And so I was super invested into watching just his entire journey leading up to the draft and to see if we took him. And then I was, blessed to find out that the person that you're watching was generational, man. So definitely watching Derrick's journey is the first time I actually sat down and started watching the Bulls. I missed all the championships. I missed the three-peats. I missed all that. So for me, it didn't really start. My Bulls fandom didn't really start until D Rose got drafted. And man, I don't gotta say much about that team. We all know how special that team was, man. Joakim Noah, D Rose, Taj, Dang, Thibodeau, yelling Derrick on the sideline, man, just dude, I got spoiled, man, because that was my introduction into the NBA. So I thought that's how it always is. I didn't think it was just I didn't realize how special that team was. So it's been hard for me to just still maintain that much excitement with the teams that we've been putting out there over the years. But that's where it all started. Definitely was D Rose for me coming to the Bulls.
Right on, man. Well, that's a good one to start with. Yeah, I'm spoiled because I was there for the last three-peat, but honestly, my Bulls fandom didn't catch rapid fire until D Rose hit the league too. Because I was just a kid when those championships came out, but I really started understanding the game of basketball when D Rose came out. Did you ever meet him in real life?
No, man, that's why I kicked myself in the foot every time, because I could have if I would have listened to my older cousin saying, "Come to the games." I'm like, "Man, I don't want to see your punk ass friend playing basketball. He sucks, man. I'm going to the league." Boy, oh boy, how'd that turn out? And then you come to find out that it's Derrick Rose. It's just super cool, man. But that guy will always hold a special part in my heart, man. People say he's a hood hero. It's so much deeper than basketball. When you're from the city, it's super motivating when you see that somebody from where you grew up in a very tumultuous environment, now they're on TV. It just made people like myself and people who had it much worse than myself in the same neighborhood, you just feel like you could do anything. If you see a kid from a couple blocks away from you on TV, man, it just changed my whole perspective on life. Man, if he could do it and, he's out there and elite at it too, I can go out there in life and grow up and do anything I want, man. If D Rose made it, so that's where it all started, man. It's sometimes it sounds silly because it's basketball, but that's why it's always so much deeper than basketball to me, because you could take stuff from the court and apply it to your life outside the court,
Yeah, facts. And honestly, that just goes to show you how much Derrick Rose meant to not just basketball, but to Chicago. I mean, I always call him the greatest Chicago-born Chicago Bull of all time. Because
by far.
When you think Chicago, man, you think of Derrick Rose. I know everyone likes to ride on, D Wade was from Chicago and all that, but I really don't associate D Wade with Chicago like I do Derrick Rose, man. I really don't.
Not the same.
Your first name is Jordan. Does that have any coincidence with the greatest of all time?
No coincidence there. That's exactly what it is. I learned this later. I learned this actually like 5 years ago. I learned that my name was supposed to be Cash with a K, and I was like, well, what the hell? And then I was like, well, what happened? And my mom told me. She goes, oh no, yeah. She said that she was in love with Michael Jordan, and so she made my dad give me the name, and here I am, Jordan.
And what
Jordan
a name
Gilty,
it
man.
is.
Yeah.
Two goats. One on the hardwood,
man.
one on the microphone. Two dominant figures
Hey,
in the sport.
thank you, Sal.
Of course, man. I want to move on to Bulls on Tap, man, because I have the privilege of being a writer for that team, and what an incredible team that is. A shout out to everyone at Bulls on Tap, man.
Crack
and
'em. What a squad.
Yes. I love that,
what is,
man.
you know, we always getting that hype, man. Shout out to the boys.
We do, man. And you're usually the first one to do it, man. You're usually the one. Let's go, man. You got it all, man.
Yeah, man. We gotta hype the boys up.
We do. What motivated you to start writing for Bulls on Tap? And was this your first experience writing at all, not just the Bulls?
Yeah, so as far as like writing for a publication, for sure was my first time. There's so much lore there, man. Like I used to see on Tap, shout out to Goose on Tap. Well, he's not Goose on Tap anymore. I think he's something else, but he used to go by like Bull Scripted on Twitter way back. And I know back then that's when I came across on Tap was from Goose and Buzz. And so back when I was still like, you know, just learning everything in the Bulls community, it was Goose and Buzz who were on Tap, and I used to always like interact with Bull Scripted back in the day, which is Goose. And like years go on, and you know, I end up talking as I'm growing the Discord and stuff, and I started talking to guys like Alejandro, who I came across him on Twitter as a local Bulls fan, and I was always seeing his name pop up. I'm like, man, like I like this kid's takes. Well, I didn't know he was a kid either. I was just, I like this dude's take. And then I find out, you know, I'm like, hey, man, come to the Discord. I'm trying to build this community, this and that. And so we started talking. And then at one point, man, he put in there, you know, if anybody's looking for an opportunity to write for Bulls on Tap, we're starting a new season. And for a while, I've had a lot of people telling me that I should do Bulls content. We're going to get into it later. But like, you know, back when Mark K, because Mark K is the Bulls HQ started with Mark K, but I'll get into that later. When he was running that server, like we had a lot of guys in there building their platforms through there. And through my connections in there, like people would tell me like, man, you got like a good voice for podcasting, or you should just go into like making Bulls content. And I always say like, oh, you know, one day when the timing's right, like it'll just click. And I don't know, man, I had to end my work season short this year to get knee surgery. And that was back in October. I stopped working right around the time that the Bull season was starting. And I'm always off work during the winter anyway, doing construction. So I'm a concrete finisher. So like during the winter, we're off from like December to like sometimes March, April, May. So I figured this year I wanted to do a bunch of training, like do some kickboxing, do jiu-jitsu, like all this stuff. I had it all mapped out. And then I go and tear my meniscus. So I was, yeah, you know, so like I'm sat down and I was like, you know what, man, maybe this is the winter that like I dive into the Bulls and just watch the team again and fall in love with the sport again. And as I said, you know, that's the same time that Alejandro put out the call for On Tap, and literally the rest is history, dude. Like it's been I never anticipated any of this happening so fast, but it's been cool.
Shout out, man. I'm glad. Hopefully a speedy recovery for you. I mean, meniscus tears, those that must have hurt. I mean, that must have sucked when that. What were you doing when it happened?
Stupid.
Just training, or
so it was my second week of jiu-jitsu only. All right, and I'm going in there like 2 days. I'm amped up, man. You know me, so I'm amped up. I'm in there like two times a day for 3 sessions sometimes, and so like it was just so crazy the timing. This always happens in my life. Like every time I get super juiced, something like derails me to like kind of teach me patience, I think. And like with jiu-jitsu, that was my baby. So like the way I've been passionate with the Bulls content, that's where I was going with jiu-jitsu and like Muay Thai training this winter. But so I'm in there and I'm learning, Justin will know what this is. I'm learning, I think it was the arm bar, and I'm doing it right. Like I was doing it right. And then, you know, my training partner, he goes, oh, you should try to do it this way. And I was like, my gut, never, for anybody watching, I don't know if you got the same spiritual awareness or if you're on a spiritual path, but never doubt your gut feelings, man. When the dude told me, oh, you should try it this way, my gut was like, don't fucking try it that way. But I'm coachable. So I'm like, oh, yeah, like, what do I know? Like, this dude's been training for how long? It's my second week. Of course I'm going to listen. Dude, I tried the way he said. And because I guess like we were kind of in a flow state, and because maybe his body wasn't used to what he told me to try when I had to like put my leg under his body at a certain position. I don't know what happened, but he like fell back onto my leg, which in turn pushed my entire like leg, like bent it backwards. Do you ever see a Family Guy?
Yeah.
You know when Peter Griffin would fall down the stairs and like his neck would be broken and shit? That's the way we went back and my whole leg went back and you heard, and I was just like, fuck. Yeah, it was that quick, man. It was that quick.
Oh.
And I tried like training on it. Yeah, it was a journey. I tried going like a month, just trying to tough it out, and be like, oh, it's fine. It's just an injury. You could train and still go to work. And I rolled down a hill at work. So that was, you're going, I'm like working with this thing called the bull float, and you're going up and down a hill. And one of those days, man, like, cause you would feel fine with this injury. And then out of nowhere, your knee would just give out. And so I was working, getting in the zone, and then my knee gave out, dropped my damn tube, rolled down a hill, almost like going to the highway. So I was like, all right, it's time to get surgery. And but like I've been beating myself up about it. But again, like, I don't think I would have been as locked into the Bulls content. I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you right now without the injury. I wouldn't have been doing this. So I think everything does happen for a reason, truly.
Absolutely. And for those who don't know it, I'm Italian, so I'm blessed to have a lot of family members in concrete, and let me tell you, that's not easy work. Gilty could tell you himself.
What's up.
So like doing that on a torn meniscus, man, that sucks. Like, I can understand why. But I mean, like you said, it gave you an opportunity to get close to a team. I really wish this team put out a better product for you to watch. But I mean, we're fans. We're gonna love no matter what, right?
And like you said, man, you know me, like you said on the last episode of On Tap with Justin, man, like you said, like, you still get excited to watch this team. I'm the same way. I've been an advocate for that for the longest time. I've always, like, people call it fun bad. You could still, like, you don't have to win every game for me. Like, I want to see my team build something. So, like, on the ways up to your winning years, you can still put on a fun team. Even when you're losing games, I want to see fun players. I want to see a fun brand of basketball. Give me something. You could always learn from any moment in life. And I feel like even with this Bulls team, while, yes, they've been a hard watch, but, like, we've seen much worse out there. We've seen... Jesus, my brain is scarred from the days of like a Cameron Bearstar out there with Felicio and Cameron Payne running up and down the court and falling on his face, and Denzel Valentine pulling up from half court. Oh no, Valentine. We've seen worse, so I'm not too upset at it. And plus we get to watch Modest. Like, Modest is my beacon of hope right now.
Yeah. Honestly, that people ask me all the time. They're like, how do you get so much enjoyment out of watching this team? Like, even though like it's not a great product, and this team is not built for success right now. And it's like, listen, for me, that Chicago Bulls logo means more than just 15 men going into battle every other day.
Yes.
To me, that logo represents a community. It represents incredible people like yourself and the other content creators. It represents childhood memories with my dad that I like to go back to. It represents memories I make with my oldest. So that Bulls logo is more than just win or lose, man. That logo is huge in my book. Yep. So it makes it that much easier to watch the sport when you are not as successful as any other team in the league right now. So that's how it's so easy to watch the game. Is I just love everything about what that game brings to the table, what this team brings to the table.
Facts. You love the game, Sal.
Love of the game. Before we move on to your other endeavors, throwing it back to On Tap, because you wrote a lot of articles, but what would you say was your most favorite piece and your most successful piece at that? Because you had one piece that spread like wildfire, man. That thing went, I'll call it viral.
Yeah.
I'll call that viral.
That really, it surprised me. That was my first time. I mean, it's my first time writing ever, but like, man, it was super cool, like watching that thing take off like that, like wildfire, like you said. I think a piece that I had the most fun with off the top of my head, one of them was definitely, it was like a game against the Utah Jazz, because you know me, I like to, my theme was I would always try to find a theme. So like if we were playing the Utah Jazz, I tried to make the entire theme of the article, like each headline for each paragraph was like a different musical themes, like who turned off the music. There was a lot going on, but I think that was my favorite one because I linked to some good jazz music in there. So I had fun writing that when I was listening to jazz while writing it. And Nikola hit a game winner that game where I think he was just a leading performer, but we won that game because of Nikola. So I know in the beginning I put like, "Ciao, Nikola." So I'm pretty sure it was definitely up to him while we won. But yeah, my most successful piece would definitely have to be I broke the news for well, I didn't break the news, but for On Tap, I spoke about the Kobe White trade and how it got amended with the Hornets because of his injury. And dude, it took off like it was insane. It was crazy to see.
And it was
I
a
think that's
great
my
piece,
last
man.
article that I wrote actually. Well, I wrote a couple after. I wrote like a buzz or pop culture one for Modest. I saw him in a rap video and something I wrote like something cute after, but like that was definitely my most successful one.
Yeah, that one took off, man, and it was at a time where like Bulls' interest was at its peak because no matter how we were doing with all the moves that they were making, everyone was just trying to consume every bit of piece of content they could. So
Yeah.
and that article was absolutely fantastic, might I add,
Thank you,
man.
sir.
That was a great. If you guys haven't read some of Gilty stuff for Bulls on Tap, please go check those out because I like the addition of pop culture. I love the mesh between it because it kind of separates it from the court and brings it to another level. I really do like that concept.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, of course. Let's talk Bulls Without Borders now because I absolutely love everything
Shout
about
out to the
that show,
boys.
man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they're wild. It's a rowdy bunch. It's a rowdy bunch.
It is, but like Phil, Troy, Neil, and Hayes put on an absolutely spectacular show, and you've been featured on it many times there, and really given it a jolt of character. I mean, I've also had the privilege of joining you guys on a full episode, on a few episodes, and I've had an absolute blast every single time. Absolutely grateful to be on that show. My question to you is, for those who don't know, what is it? What is Bulls Without Border, and what makes it such a special part of the Bulls community?
Yeah, so when it comes to that, shout out to if you guys aren't aware, his name's Philip Vanderhayden. He is, as far as I know, like that's who I talked to before I joined. I think he'll be the first to tell you that it's a joint project. He started it up with Neil, formerly from C-Red UK. I'm sure everybody, like people know about Neil from you, but Neil from C-Red UK. And Troy from Whole Lot of Bull and Hayes. And I'm pretty sure Jamal from Bull Central, he was supposed to be on it originally as well. But like they started that up. And yeah, Phil and I had talked like back in the summer before like they even started it up. And we were just saying, like he was telling me he wanted to start that up at that project. And I told him, my man, that's going to be super cool. It's like a show where you're merging these continents and you could bring on different guests. And there's, as like in the title says, it's Bulls Without Borders, but I think it goes beyond like geographical borders. There's no borders, there's no limits to the content when you go on that episode. You never know what you're gonna get. I mean, especially like you said, like you're bringing on different guests. So I know like when Hayes is on there, you know how Hayes goes. You got to watch for sexual innuendos, man. You got to be saying pause every other second. You can say the most innocent thing and he'll find a way to get you. You got to watch out for, I think Phil tries to rein us all in, but I'm prone to, going crazy in a split second. And it's cool hearing Neil's accent and Troy's Australian accent. So it's just it's a super cool show, man. And like the episode where you were on there, dude, because it's a bunch of guys just talking ball. And I think like, so much of the content that we have out there, it's not that it's formal, but I feel like what makes that show special is it truly does feel like just a bunch of guys shooting the shit. You know what I mean? Like anybody can come on there and fit right in. It's like you're talking ball with the boys at the bar, so I like to, it's just a good time, man. I'm trying to find the right word for it, but it's very, I'm learning this word from my girl. I've been learning so many nice words from my girl lately, but I would say if I had to describe it, it's homey. It's very homey. If you come on Bulls Without Borders, you'll feel right at home in that show.
Yes. Yeah. That's honestly, I'm glad you mentioned all those things because that's what drew me into the show is the fact that it felt a lot less like a scripted show and it felt like I was sitting at the table at the bar with my boys, like talking ball. Like,
I think the episode you were on, I was smoking a cigar and drinking wine, like, and then I realized after I was like, holy shit, I was just doing that on a TV show. That's probably a bad look. I like lit it up during the show, but like that's Bulls Without Borders for you.
Yes. Yeah. That was the other thing that brought me in was like, it's Bulls from like, it's content creators from opposite ends of the world. Like I say it a million times, like it's hard enough for me to get my two co-hosts, and we live down the street from each other, but to get time zones into it, like huge shout out to you guys because that's insane. And I said it before and I'll say it again, that show is going to take off and it's going to truly be something different.
I think so.
It's just such a special show, and you guys are great. Like Phil, Troy, Neil, Hayes, all you guys. My goodness, they're some of the top tier people in this community.
Yeah, just great people.
I love all of them. Absolutely. What's it besides like I know you elaborate, there's such good people. What's it like working with them? And because if I'm not mistaken, was this your first dip into the podcasting world? Because I know when I met you,
Hmm.
you said you don't really do much podcasting, which I found it odd because you got, like you said earlier, you got that podcast voice, man. You got
Thank
that
you, man.
alluring voice.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. No, this was my first podcast. And again, it started off just as like, Phil reached out and he was like, hey, would you want to come on as a guest? I think it was the episode that you were on. We both went on there for the first time. And I was like, oh, yeah, because like I shoot the shit with these guys all the time in the Discord. And like that's kind of where everything starts. Like, as you know, that Discord, man, fucking it gets wild. So it was just pretty much an extension of everything that we would talk about all day, every day in the Cord. So like coming on there, I just felt right at home, like off the bat. So it's super cool working with them because if you saw like the last episode, we were giving Phil shit about marinara sauce, which is a little inside joke, but like you could see how flustered he was getting on the show. His whole face turned red. So Phil, if you're watching this, man, put the marinara sauce down, dude. But yeah, man, it's that's what makes the show so special, man. It's like a bunch of boys just shooting the shit and having a good time, and it's super cool working with them because like it opens me up to a whole different part of myself as well. You know, uh, just aside from them being from different continents, I feel like there's just such a diverse variety of personalities. Like truly, like I feel like you get no matter what your personality is, I feel like you can come on that show on any given week, and you will damn near connect with somebody on there. Like that's how wide and diverse the group of personalities is on there. So I always have fun on those episodes.
100% facts. And everyone, if you have not checked out Bulls Without Borders, please head over to that page and give them a follow. You truly won't be disappointed. It's such a good show. I mean, it's one of the elites. I'll say that, and you will not see anything like it. So I highly recommend it. You guys do a phenomenal job.
Thank you, man.
All right, Gilty.
That's
The
all
time.
Phil.
Yeah. He's a goat, man. I love Phil. Philly the Fourth. Shout out.
He's
All
putting
right,
in work
Gilty.
right now, man.
He's
Yes,
he's
sir.
everywhere, man. He is everywhere.
Him, Hayes.
Yeah.
Hayes has like 8 shows. Like, goddamn, like they putting in work, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like anytime, they find time to pick up another project or like come on my show as a guest, it's like, man, where do you find the time for this, man? Because I got one show and I'm up to my eyeballs in work and they make it happen with all their projects. So again, as consumers of shows and content, please do understand there is a lot of work that goes behind the scenes that you guys don't really see. It's a full-time job without full-time pay. I'm just going to say that.
I feel that.
But it's time to talk about the Discord, Gilty, because when I say that the Bulls HQ Discord is single-handedly the best and most active Chicago Bulls Discord out there, I'm speaking the absolute truth.
Yeah, it's wild.
Talk to me about how this sort of hub for not just top tier content creators, but top tier Bulls fans came to be.
Yeah, so the lore there, man, I could talk for days about it. But so Bulls HQ was originally started by Mark K. So I know it's a whole new era in the Bulls, community now. But like, if you guys are familiar with Mark K, man, he's my GOAT, at least. I know Mark, if you're watching this, man, Mark would be the first to tell you that he was an asshole. Like he'd be the first one on Twitter riling people up, and then he's not going to bat down either and just call you adult, so Mark definitely has his fair share of haters, but no, Mark is definitely my GOAT, man. So it started out as again, I would get into a Mark K on Twitter back in the day, and I forgot how it even happened, like how I got into his Discord, but I did, man. And I just remember at that time, like so many like Bulls reporters were in there. You had guys like what's his name, Doug Tonis, you had C Red Fred in there back then. You had a guy like Stefan in there back then. It was just a lot of the notable names who were making like legitimate content for the Bulls community in that time, man. And for me, I was just, shout out to my boy Kurtz if you're watching this. For me, like if you guys know Kurtz in the Discord, he's like the whole Discord is like little brother, but the kid loves ball and he talks ball. And that was like me back then. I was always in there just talking ball, like shout out to guys like, if you guys know Coach Laro Golden, Laro Hoops, Chris Amundsen from Swish Theory, they're the founders. Those were like my big brothers back then. So, my whole thing back then, though, is I felt like a young dude in a room full of unks. So I was trying to bring some more energy and some spunk to the Cord, guys like Vince. If Vince is watching, we had Salim in there. It was just like a much older crowd. And I was like, man, like, let's have some fun, like, let's, it was just very like strict ball talk. I felt like, I'm like, no, I'm trying to like hype the boys up, man. And So it was just one summer when I started construction. It was 2020 or 2021. I don't know what the hell came over me, Sal, but like I had free time during the winter, and for whatever reason, I found myself like just scorching, like just going through the entire scourging the entire Twitterverse for Bulls fans. So I would go under every Bulls post and I would observe and read people that love to talk ball, and I would see like accounts. I would like literally like scout people and see like what their takes were like, and if they would add good energy to the space, or is this somebody that really loves to talk basketball but no one's ever responded to his comments. I bet I could find, like, if I bring him in the cord, maybe he'll feel like, he'll find the audience, people to connect with, because he's just under every Bulls post talking good shit but nobody's responding. Maybe if I can build an environment, and people will finally respond to this person, you just never know, we could have so many good conversations. So what happened was, I think it was the summer of 2021, dude. I just went on a spree. I think it must have been at least like 200 or 300 members I sent towards Mark K's way, and I would just, send people DMs and be like, hey, I don't know if I see that you're a fellow Bulls fan. I don't know if you know about the Bulls HQ ran by Mark K, but it's a great space, and he has a great podcast, and it's a space that we're building, full of great Bulls fans like yourself. If you love to talk ball, like, this is a spot for you. You got to go to Mark K and tell him that Gilty sent you. And I just remember getting off work one day, and it was so many people coming in, and like Mark was like, what the hell is going on? Like, Gilty sending all these damn people in here. And yeah, man, we grew the space. And it, it was just a good time. And then Mark went and started up CHGO, the faction with Will the GOAT from CHGO. Yeah. So he was going to have to relinquish everything, I think the rights to the server and everything, because of the licensing with his name. And we were super bummed out about it. And he was just like, it's going to suck having to let the place go. But me and him talked, and I said, like, hey, I'll keep it going for you. That way you can go start up CHGO, and then I'll keep the core for you. You can come back in and check it out, because it won't be in your name anymore. And he was more than happy to do that. And so I pretty much took it over, and, throughout the years, just have continued to build it out. We talked about, like, 2 years ago when I came across you, just trying to reach out to people who I saw were creators in the community, or who were trying to build something. I wanted to bring people together, like bring different creators who were starting out together, because I would see so many collaborations go down when it was Mark's server. When I would see like the guys from Switch Theory, they got their start in that server. Like, I literally watched guys just be talking ball in there, and then from there go on to create podcasts together and be successful with it. So I'm like, I want to make that more. I want to bring guys together like you. And back when Justin was still the Bloody Horns podcast, I brought you guys in at the same time and merge servers with the C-Red UK guys back then, and just try to have a hub for people to just shoot the shit and talk ball. And then you never know, it's called a mastermind. Like, from that mastermind, you guys could just be having a fun conversation. Next thing you know, hey, you talk to each other, you want to have a collab, and then maybe a podcast is born or an episode is born. You just never know. So while it's very much a networking kind of a thing, it's really just a big hub for people to just have a great time, man. And lately you've seen how rambunctious it's gotten with some of the members. Shout out to Undisputed. I'm sure everybody knows, if you're on Twitter, you've seen Supreme, the Supreme Undisputed under every damn comment. I mean, that dude is something else. But it's just, that's what I take pride in, man. Like, taking the misfits that people like people think are bad people. I don't think anyone's a bad person. I think some people are just passionate. Some people are just passionate and just need an outlet to voice their takes. And I think that's what makes it so fun, is having people on complete opposite sides of a situation in one space, where you can have these arguments, you can have these debates, but you can also grow your perspective and find common ground at some point. And you know what I mean? So it's just, it's a really cool space, man. And I think we're still growing it to this day. We're just bringing more people in there that love to talk ball and just have a good time. And it's much more than just a basketball server, I'll tell you that. It's just a great server, man.
It is. And fun story for the audience, because you mentioned it. I was only a few episodes deep into Horns Over Hoops here, and I got a Twitter message from you, not only saying that you're a fan of my work, but that
Yes.
I put in, but you wanted me to join this Discord server, and I joined without a second guess. And
Yeah, you did, man.
And from the moment I jumped in, man, it not only just elevated my content, but it elevated my knowledge of the team as a whole, because like you said, you're getting a bunch of different perspectives about the game. I don't know if you tuned into my latest, I know you did, but For those who didn't tune into the latest episode of Bulls on Tap, at the end of the show, I said, find somebody you disagree with and try to really, instead of judging them, instead of jumping down their throat and insulting them because they share a different viewpoint than you, really try to understand their creative mind and why they're thinking the way they do. And I feel like that happens all the time in your server. And that's how you learn a different side of the coin to the game, not just the Bulls, but the game of basketball as a whole, because it's no fun when people agree with you, man, because then you really don't learn anything. But if you say, hey, I think the team should do this, and it's different from what I think the team should do, now it programs my brain to think, this guy's got a different way of thinking. That could actually work. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's what I really respected about the server. And you know what? Yeah, it gets a little rambunctious, but you know what? We're adults. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We handle our business the way we handle our business.
Exactly. No, I agree.
Gilty, Bulls HQ Discord officially has over 240 members in it. Absolutely incredible. With that being said, how do you manage to not only keep it current and up to date, but keep people's engagement thriving and really make it a place that people come back to every single day? You even give each individual content creator their own beacon for them to post their work, and it's just an incredible place. So what keeps that motivation?
Oh, I'm just a sicko, Sal. I'm a sicko, man. Have you ever seen like The Wolf of Wall Street or like The Great Gatsby? I would say I was saying I was The Great Gatsby, but like right now, man, I feel like I'm in my my Jordan Belfort era right now. I feel like that's the vibes in there right now, dude. Just hype, man. Like our team, our team is so, but like that doesn't, like, I feel like it's the perfect time as fans to come together and be pissed off about it. Because what I always say too is like, yeah, you're pissed off. People who get mad, like, oh, if you are a pro tanker, you're an idiot. Or on the opposite side, if you're not a pro tanker, you're an idiot. But at the same time, I just say that all just boils down to passion. We all want the same team. I mean, we all want the same thing, and that's for our team to be good. So I love having the different opinions in there. And I think, honestly, man, the members are who do the heavy work. I'm just there to kind of like make it look more appealing and, make the different channels and give people their shine. But honestly, man, like truly it's the members who make that place what it is, and just being able to have those arguments and just conversations and debates. I've learned so much myself just by reading. There's times when I don't even post. I'll just go and read everything that I missed from the past 2 days at like 2 a.m. some nights and just be laughing my ass off, reading some of the stuff, but also learning a lot, and just growing my perspective at all times because there's just so many great minds in there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Honestly, again, I'm going to plug it here. If you guys have not checked out the Bulls HQ Discord, please jump in and join the fun, man. It's literally, wild. It's active from the moment I wake up to the time I go to bed. I'll wake up like you. It don't. And that's what I love about it. I've been a part of Discord communities that, it's really quiet. Like every once in a while, you'll have 1 or 2 people chime in, but this one is very much alive and a thriving machine. And I love it. I love everything about it.
It started when we had, when the UK guys came over. So like, just like Bulls Without Borders, it's all the different continents and time zones in there. So like, I know when C-Red UK, when they closed down their server, Neil just brought, himself and a bunch of members from there over. So we start getting like the UK time zone. So like, we'll all be asleep, and then you'll have some UK guys just seeing the game that we all saw at 7 p.m. They're just now seeing it at 3 a.m, giving their thoughts on it. So if you're a night owl and you can't sleep, you might find yourself having discussion with some dude who lives in London or Scotland about the Bulls, and it's super cool. Or you have guys like Pads and Troy from Australia. We have a lot of Australian members in there. And again, because it started by Marquet, who was Australian. So it's just, that was like the coolest thing to me too, is that the whole thing started from a dude who lives in Australia, who somehow had just this amazing influence. I saw the episode that he was on for CHGO for the first time like a couple weeks ago, and it all made me kind of tear up because I look at Mark like a big brother, like definitely, man, he's like my big brother, and just seeing him tear up, because Peck and Big Dave are letting him know how much he meant to the community. And as crazy as it is, like you said, like I was just a guy that just would talk about this damn Bulls team in Australia, and now sitting in a room in Chicago on a podcast like CHGO talking about the influence that I've had from across the world. It's just, it's style. It's amazing. And I feel like that's what speaks to like social media, because, we live in a world where everybody says you can find the negatives and things, you can find the positives, and social media definitely does have its downsides. But to me, I see nothing but positives with it. And that's what anything in life is going to be, what you make it. And like this right here, what we're doing, or the Discord, it speaks to the beauty of social media, because you can make these connections in an instant these days that you were not allowed to do 10, 15 years ago. You could be having conversation with somebody on the other side of the world in real time about the same passion that you have. It's just super cool, and you can do really cool things with it. So yeah, man, it's a great time. I take a lot of pride in it.
And you do a phenomenal job because, like you said, it's really now that we're truly seeing the beauty of what it brings to the table, because back in the day, we really only heard Bulls news from actual Bulls writers or the TV. You never
Yes.
really heard of a content creator, because I'm a firm believer that, Bulls writers are great. They do a phenomenal job, but really they kind of have their own guidelines to stick to. They really can't deviate that for fear of losing their job. But you get a
Yes.
Bulls content creator, he'll tell you the real, man. He'll tell you how it is, and he won't hold back, because they're not bounded by any contract, so to speak. So they'll
Mhm.
tell you what happened. They'll tell you their speculation. They'll tell you how it is. And that's why I gravitate more of my media consumption to the Bulls community, because they're limitless. They can talk
Mhm.
about literally almost whatever they want.
Yeah, shout
Um,
out Hayes in that regard. Everybody knows when you talk about who gonna keep it, 100 and with the most profanity, you just never know what you're gonna get. Like, you can go watch his show. Like, I was talking about it earlier with somebody, because he was saying about like the monetization and shit. And he goes, "Yeah, I had to like ask my boss if it was okay if if we could keep Hayes' his title in there." And it was like the Bulls were complete ass cheeks, and like that's the cool part about, just like you just said, man, like covering the team now and having content creators where you're not so relegated to being, so informal. I mean, so formal. You could be a lot more informal and just make it so much more relatable to the everyday fan. It's super cool to see this time that we're in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Jordan Gilty. I appreciate you coming on. But before we get on to the rest of the show, if you like what you're seeing, please, please, please like this video, as well as give us a sub to the channel and activate those alerts to stay up to date with any and all future episodes. If you have any questions for myself or for Gilty, or if you just want to say hi, leave them in the comment section down below. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave a rating and a review. It helps this podcast grow to its full potential.
Yes.
But Gilty, this is a Chicago Bulls podcast, so what do you say we talk some Chicago Bulls?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. For starters, I've mentioned it plenty of times on this show that the Chicago Bulls organization this year has been nothing short of a roller coaster ride. From roster shakeups to win streaks to losing streaks to injuries. My
Yeah.
question to you is, what do you feel has been, in your opinion, the single biggest contributor to the Bulls' lack of success this season?
Man, there's multiple to me, but I'm trying to be fair towards it, but I would say simply cut and dry is the roster construction. It's just been very hard to, it's been very hard to put a winning product out there with the team that we have assembled. And then you couple that on with how Billy Donovan likes to run his offense and use his players, and just there's been questionable lineups, all year. And I just think the biggest thing is the roster construction. For sure, we're just in the process now of putting a good team together. It's only so much you can do when your team isn't that talented, truly.
I agree. Now, we had an 11-game losing streak. That was one of the worst streaks in Chicago Bulls history. And then you partner that up with being winless in the month of February, making it statistically the worst month in Chicago Bulls history. Please tell me how you feel this losing streak directly affects the status of this team moving forward, as well as the identity in the league. Like, is the rest of the team paying attention? Do you think we maybe lost some interest for some players coming to come here? Like, how do you feel that streak affected us this year?
Maybe I'm an optimist, but I look at it like everybody kind of knows what we're doing, and what I assume we're doing is you're in the middle of shaking this entire team up. So I expect this offseason to be a plethora of changes. You're going to be moving all, like, I feel like none of these guys that we traded for, like a guy like Colin Sexton, Simons, Nick Richards, Jabu, like none of these guys are probably going to be here at the start of next season. So I'm looking at this kind of like an auditioning for all of them to try to get their values up or whatever. So I'm thinking that nobody really should be judging this Bulls team at all right now. I don't think that we've made our situation any worse than what it has been. I feel like people have been looking at the Bulls kind of like a laughing stock in the league for some years now, if we're being honest. Like, also, it's it doesn't really hamper their view to me, I think. But definitely, I think once we have to make some moves this offseason, because if we don't make some moves this offseason and start working towards something, then I think you're definitely looking at a place that's a lot less desirable to come to. But at the same time, I think when you have a guy like Modest here, it's a new league, and he's definitely one of the better players in his age group. So I think just having Modest here alone might attract people in his age group or younger to want to come play here, as well as having Giddy here. Having Giddy and Modest and just being in Chicago. So I think Chicago never will stop being a place that people want to come to. It's a storied franchise, and you might get some guys that might view themselves as like the Hercules, like they might come here and say, well, I can make them better. So I think Chicago will always be a desirable place. It's just about how fast are we gonna, put some winning together or just be more appealing. But I think we'll always be desirable.
I agree. That's beautiful. It's a great way to put it. Now, when you say we're building up towards something special, or you say we're building this franchise back up, how close would you say we are from being back in the show, man? Because we've been without a true playoff berth for some years now. Are we players short? Are we staff short? Or are we personnel short?
We're short and all. We're short. We're just short right now. I think it has to be. We need a new coach. And when I say that, like you guys, if you see me on Bulls Without Borders, I'm on there going hard, but it's more so just for it's having fun. I talk my shit on there, but so I'm always calling out for Billy. But all jokes aside, like I think Billy is just a great coach. It's just situational context matters. And I think that right now for this next era, Billy can't be the guy at the helm. Depending on what Arturis does this summer is going to tell us if he shouldn't be at the helm. I don't got to speak on them. I think everybody knows how they feel about the Reinsdorfs and multiple sports. So it's just, yeah, man, I think it's just got to be an entire shakeup from the ground up, but you're going to need to keep Modest for sure and Giddy. Well, who knows? Maybe even if the right offer comes along, you trade Giddy. But as of right now, it's hard for me to say. If before making moves this summer, I'd say we're, like we talked about on the show, maybe a decade away, man. Like I think it was on tap or totally crap. You said like we'll win a championship in 10 years. I don't know. I see us taking at least 5 to 6 years of being relevant again. And when I say relevant, I mean like the D Rose era where we're winning 60 games in a season. You don't even got to win a championship to be relevant, or at least you're winning 50 games like we almost did in 2021 with that team before Lonzo went down with the injury. I say maybe we're like 5 years away from that. But at the same time, it just depends on what we do this offseason, because you do have a good start having two guys like Modest and Giddy on that team. I stand firm in that. So if you could just build around them, you could be cooking with something here within like 5 years, maybe 4 years. Yeah, I think before championships come around, it might be a decade or so, man. But we'll see.
Yeah.
This is a big summer for us.
Yes, it is. And I like that, because what I'm slowly coming to realization is the Bulls could realistically we're becoming very similar to like the Detroit Pistons, where like the Detroit Pistons, they were irrelevant. They were out of it after their championship. They spent some days in the NBA toilet, and now look at them. They went a few years ago. They were one of the worst teams. I think they registered one of the worst records in NBA history. And now
Cade was crying. Cade cried.
Yeah, exactly.
They made him a whole meme that he was crying during the game.
Yeah.
Like,
and now
he's making his opponents cry.
He's making his opponents cry.
Yeah, like they said in the office, how to turntables.
Yeah,
they've turned. They've turned.
And not only are they staring at a number 1 seed, but they're legitimate contenders. And Cade's got a real shot to win MVP this year. And I hope he does, man.
He's a good dude. That's a good, solid kid. And they're
it's
a tough
fun watching
team.
Cade. Yes, they are.
They got a good brand of basketball over there.
Yeah, that tough basketball, like Bad Boys, Pistons, it kind of rejuvenated itself. So,
yes.
All right, Gilty. Much like I asked Hayes when he was on the show, I'm putting you in the hot seat. You've been officially made the GM of the Chicago Bulls. Congratulations. Okay. It's an honor to have you.
Let's go. Let's get it going.
While you're hanging up your posters and moving your fake plants into the office, please walk me through what improvements you would make to this Chicago Bulls franchise to ensure its success in the future, starting on day one.
Day one, I'm firing Billy Donovan. I'm getting rid of AK. And I'm getting somebody. Looking at the youth department, I need to find young scouts. I need to find like a bunch of hoop heads. I need sickos in my franchise. I need a bunch of guys who do it for the love of the game, So I would just invest in guys like, you get trainers like Dribble Too Much, or we had like Peter Patton. I forgot the dude's name. Like there's some dude on Instagram, lethal shooter, I think it is, and it's like, I understand it now. Like, for me, I want to like make the Bulls a desirable place to come to. So I'm throwing the bag at guys like that and offering them training spots here, like to be a shooting coach, get people who are notable in the basketball community to come work here, make this place desirable, and get you a bunch of sickos in these departments, man. We need a big scouting department. I don't want a bunch of old dudes. And I think we only had I don't know all the logistics, but it's like a joke. I think that we had just like one singular guy in the scouting department. Don't quote me on that, but like, yeah, like they talked about like how the Bulls just never even took scouting as seriously. It was like one guy and he's older. What are we talking about? It's 2026. You got like a bunch of sickos on Twitter who would do that job for free. Like I need a bunch of sickos in my building, man. So that would be the first thing I'm doing is anybody who's not up sweating like Ben Johnson, good, better, best.
Yes.
You're getting out of my building, man. I need sickos everywhere.
Yes, I love that. I love that. What about this current roster? If you could keep anyone from this current roster, who are you keeping? Who are you giving their walk-in papers? I mean, both under contract and uncontracted. Who are you keeping?
Give me Modest. I love that kid. I love Modest's personality. Even if the talent and the skills are gonna take some time, but like it's just his personality for me. Like the kid, he's a sicko. I want a bunch of sickos, and if I had to pick one person to keep, it's definitely Modest, man. Like he gets after you. I think people talk about how his ball handling isn't that great, and they don't want to see him handling the ball or shooting because his shooting isn't that good. But like for me, as we've talked about, you talked about it on Bulls Without Borders, you talked about it on Bulls on Tap, on Horns Over Hoops. It's about the reps, and you need to learn through mistakes. I think you said you taught your kid that. He needs to learn through failure. I can't stress that enough doing concrete, man. Like it's a trade. When you get into the trades, you're not going to be good on day one, especially if you're working in a trade with a bunch of old heads who are old school and they take pride in doing everything the hard way. So I learned the hard way about doing things and learning through failure, and truly I think that that's what it's got to be for Modest. But at least he has the intention. Modest has evil intentions. Like Modest is trying to destroy dudes out there, and he may get his body just can't like match up to his intentions yet. But that's what I'm saying. You need a team and a coach that's not going to damper that fire, but one that's going to encourage that fire and tell him, no, it's okay, man. Like I like that you're trying to go into the paint. You're not strong enough yet, but go into the off season. We're going to work on the weights, and you will get stronger. But keep trying. So that's the toughest dude on this team right now to me is Modest, and that's who I'm keeping if I had to.
Absolutely. And I know he's received some criticism because I know they're expecting him to take a bigger leap, but what people got to understand about Modest is that man has the ability to change the dynamic and the momentum of the game in one single play. Like you said, when he's going down the court with the ball and he's got an open lane, he wants to destroy you. He doesn't just want to put points on the board. He wants to take the rim down and the fans of the opposing team down with him, man. And that changes the game. And that's what we need as a team is we need that spark. We need that guy like, hey, you know what? He's still learning and he's developing, but in the process, he's raising momentum. He's providing that much jolt that you need to get back in the game, man. So I agree 100%. I got high hopes for Modest Buzelis. He's not even close to what he's going to be. I'll just say that.
No, hell no. No, that dude's a workhorse.
Absolutely. I love his work, and it's been complimented for many great players in the league right now. I mean, you heard what KD had to say about him, and when you get a player like KD, giving props to somebody on your team, it's just special, man.
Yeah.
Who would you target if you could pick one person to target this offseason, either free agency or trade? Who would you be picking up that phone and calling?
Oh man, honestly, to be completely honest, I'm not even 100% privy to who is going to be a free agent this summer. I know I got like from what I've seen in the Discord, I know like shout out to Vaughn. He's very big on going after Peyton Watson this summer. I think that'd be a really nice addition to the team. Or I know like we were talking about as far as big man, like I know Undisputed. I keep seeing the name from Undisputed and guys like Brooms, Mark Williams for like a center option, or a guy like Walker Kessler or Nicholas Claxton. So I'm hoping that we really do get us a dynamic big. I think that's been missing from this team for a very long time. I don't think the last bit that I truly loved on this team was Joakim Noah. And that's no shot at Vooch. That's no shot at Pau Gasol. They were great players, but for my brand of basketball, man, I need guys like Joakim. and he's the last big man. And like him and Taj were my kind of brand of basketball. And so like I want to see us go after someone dynamic, man. I think I've heard that Jalen Duren might be a restricted free agent. Like, of course he's not going to leave Detroit, but if you could throw the bag at him, not saying he's going to take it, but like a guy like that, I feel like having a dominant and just a dynamic big man on this team, along with having Giddy at your point guard, is going to open up so much. And then you have Modest in the middle there, and you fill the space in between that. But getting a good big man and then getting a guy like a Peyton Watson on the wing, maybe we can go after Jonathan Kuminga. I know we were trying to go after Tari Eason. It's just they don't have to be superstar, like flashy moves. You just need to bring in some competency to this damn franchise. So there's a number of guys I like. But yeah, those names for sure. I wish we would have got Kuminga, man. I love Kuminga.
He's doing good things.
He's killing
now,
it.
man. Yeah,
of course he is, man. They were giving me a lot of crap, all year for it, which is, I love it. That's what makes it fun, is people giving you crap for your takes. But yeah, no, I wanted us to go after Kuminga because like he is another guy that plays with that fire and wants to destroy you. So especially going through what he was going through in Golden State, you just knew that if you were the team that could save him from that turmoil and give him a chance to shine, he's going to go crazy. Have you seen Scarface, Sal?
I have. I mean, I can't be Italian without watching that.
That's
I know
facts,
he wasn't
right?
Italian, but
no, but it's in the same culture, man. So like for me, like Scarface was like a role model for me when I was a little kid. I used to like literally start every day in 5th grade watching that movie in the morning. Probably not the best thing for a 5th grader to be watching every morning before school, but
I'm sure
it's
there's
a part.
worse.
Yeah, that's true. Especially these days, these kids are bad as hell. But yeah, man, there's a part in the movie, where they're in the club and Frank and his little henchman are talking about Scarface, and the henchman asks him because he hated Scarface, and he said to Frank, like, what do you think about that guy? Or Frank asked his henchman, he said, like, what do you think about that guy? And the guy goes, I think he's a rat. I think he's this. Frank said, yeah, but you get a guy like that on your team, and he'll break his back for you. And like that's the way I am. I'm a dog. Like if anybody shows me respect or just shows appreciation for me, you show me any sign of appreciation, I'll run through a wall for you. And I feel like Jonathan Kuminga is that same kind of person. Like he went through what he went through in Golden State. So you take him from that and you give him a chance to like shine and play, it's gonna break his back for you. And we're seeing it in ATL, man. He's going on a tear and laughing while doing it, laughing out of spite. I wish we would have been the team to have him go crazy for that. Would have been fun to watch for the rest of the year. Watch him and Modest and Giddy going crazy, but we'll see this summer. I'm sure they're thinking 10 moves ahead of us. Hopefully.
Yeah, man. I honestly, and to your credit, like sometimes the best person to have on your team is your worst enemy. You know what I mean? How many times have you seen in a league where like we go up against a matchup and you're like, man, I hate that team because like that one guy, like I hate playing that guy. He's such a jerk. Like,
yeah.
But when he's on your team, it's like, all right, now he's our jerk. Like, look at Noah. Like, one of our best centers we ever had. What made him so special? People hated playing Noah.
Yes.
His antics, his in your face defense, his everything about him. It was intimidating. It was.
Yes.
But if you're a member of the team that he's on, it's the most incredible thing in the world. You know what I mean? So I agree wholeheartedly with that.
Yes.
Final question here, and that is the 2006 or 2026 NBA draft. If you had to pick one person, I'm not even giving you a number. If you had to pick one person to go after, who would it be? Not trying to trigger Undisputed here because I know he loves Cam Boozer, but who you trying to?
Him and Kelder,
to
coincidentally.
Yeah.
Isn't that so funny? I'm not to get off track, but it's just so funny. They both, Undisputed can't stand Kelder, two opposite sides of the same coin, but they both love Cam Boozer. And then, that's just like comedic gold to me. But for me, man, this draft is so good, Sal. Damn it. I go between AJ and Caleb Wilson. So I think, honestly, just because I think you said Hayes came on and said AJ, yeah, give me Caleb. Like, so you can't both have, like, give me, I want Caleb Wilson. Like, Caleb is a dog to me. Now, I think, AJ has a lot more in his bag. Like, you can put the ball in his hands and he can go get you some offense and score like a Batman kind of role. We talked about that. Who's going to be this team's next Batman? And I think that AJ can definitely grow into a Batman. But Caleb also can in his own right. He has like Joakim Noah-esque kind of energy to me. And while Noah wasn't the best player on the team, he definitely was the team's anchor and like the heart and soul of it. So I think a dude like Caleb Wilson, again, on a team like this that seems to be lacking identity and kind of just lost out there and on a roller coaster of emotion because they're young. a dude like Caleb Wilson helps to set the tone, and he's always trying to get after you. And I think he's going to hype these players up. You know, he's going to hype a kid like Modest up, because I watched the game where Caleb Wilson played against Cam Boozer, and he was the whole time just getting after Cam Boozer, and I love that. And then hyping up his team when they made a good defensive play. He's not out there like dancing all happy because they scored on offense. No, when his teammates are making a good defensive play, he turns into a savage. And like, that's what I'm saying. We need that on this team, I feel like, heavily. We need some dogs, man. I think Caleb's a dog.
Yes. And honestly, like you said, sometimes, yeah, you always want the best player in the draft, but sometimes best player doesn't particularly mean the guy who puts up the most stats. It's basically the guy who puts up the most heart, soul, and energy, who's going to be the most benefit to your team moving forward. Because as you know,
yep.
Exactly, you don't have to score all the points. Look at the 96 Bulls. How many points did Dennis Rodman score? Next to none, but Jordan was there to score all the points. He was Rodman was that spark, that heart and soul, the anchor that get in your face. He changed the dynamic of the game, and again, that you don't necessarily need the stats guy. So that's a good pickup. I you know what, I only start watching NCAA around March Madness. I know I'm a terrible person. I have my own.
I'm the same. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Okay. And usually it's however good the draft is, because if a draft class ain't the greatest, I really don't pay attention. As ashamed as I am to admit it, but that's why usually when it comes to stuff like this, I usually lean heavily on the NCAA fans. Like Undisputed, he knows a lot about NCAA. I think he watches a lot of NCAA games.
Don't let him hear that. Undisputed, I know your hair about to grow 3 sizes when you hear this clip, man. No, I actually do love that dude, man. He's just super, like, I feel like in the same way, like, you need that kind of energy too, like, because he DM'd me and we talked about it, man. Like, he said, hey, love me or hate me, I'm always going to bring conversation. And I said, like, hey, and you're right about that, like, love you or hate you, you're always, and like, that's what it's about. You don't have to agree with what someone's saying all the time. It's about sparking that conversation, because just people have fun just being able to explain themselves. So yeah, like, shout out to him for that, man. He's definitely the quote unquote villain, but it just sparks up such great conversation, and you can obviously see that the dude is a sicko about basketball. He watches. Yes. So we got some really big hoop heads in there and some draft heads in there for sure. Like my boy Kurtz, I know Pads is literally, he scouts, like he's got a Substack he just started where he's scouting these players. Shout out to the guys, Tyler Rucker and Tyler Metcalf, Corey Tulubu. We have them in the court from No Ceilings. We have a lot of draft sickos in there for sure.
Absolutely. And again, it all makes for a good, happy place to consume content and grow your knowledge of the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I learned a lot in there.
Gilty, much like I told Hayes, with moves like that, you got me wishing that there was a GM change in your favor today. I feel like you guys both would make this team a dynasty, not just a championship team, but a dynasty.
Thank you.
Gilty, the clock is winding down on this episode. It's been an absolute joyride to have you. But of course, I can't send any guest of Horns Over Hoops home without playing a friendly little game that I like to call Horns or Thorns. For those of you who don't know what Horns or Thorns are, this might sound familiar to you because it's very similar to On Tap or Totally Cap. It's basically a yes or no, buy my scenario, sell the scenario. And you at home, you can play too. Just drop your answers in the comment section down below and let me know what you think. Gilty, you ready to play Horns or Thorns?
Good. Thorns up.
All right. I got 5 scenarios for you here. And Horns or Thorns question number 1 is, the Chicago Bulls obtain a top 5 pick in this upcoming draft.
Horns.
Yes. All right. Question number 2, just because he's one of my favorite players on the team right now. Don't hate me, but the Chicago Bulls keep Anthony Simons and Jaden Ivey next year.
Is the Thorns mean I agree, or like it's not going to happen?
Thorns is disagree.
Oh yeah, no, they're gonna be here. They're Thorns. Yeah, but Thorns down
for sure. Do you see one of them staying?
Maybe I would have said Jaden Ivey, but as Justin alluded to in his tweet, like when you watch him on the bench and he's not even engaging with the team, it just makes you think that these players know a lot more than we do. That their agents tell them things. Excuse me. So maybe he already knows that he's not going to be here, so maybe that's why he's not engaging. So that does, I don't want to say makes me worried, but it just makes me skeptical if he's going to be here or not. As far as Simons, I think I do like him a lot, and I love the fit with Kitty. You know, he's a hell of a scorer, and a hell of a shooter. I'm just thinking that we're probably gonna move him for either like in a package for a bigger wing, I would say. But we'll see.
For sure, for sure. Horns or Thorns question number 3. Rob Dillingham develops into a volatile backup guard despite his rough start.
Horns. Me and Hayes actually have a bet going on this. He said that he's not. He said if Rob is asked, then I have to wear a shirt that says Hayes was right. And I said if Rob is not asked and has a nice career, that obviously the opposite. So we'll see. I won't be wearing the shirt. I'll tell you that. That's what I think.
I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, me too. It'll be a good little exhibition there.
Horns or Thorns question number 4. This is a loaded one, and that is the Chicago Bulls make the playoffs next season.
Right now, Thorns, because I don't know what we're gonna do this summer, man. But like if it was today, Lord have mercy, we'll be making the playoffs in the stands, watching the rest of the teams. We'll drive the bus for the players to get to the playoffs. But yeah, if it was today, nah, man. But yeah, we'll see. Because, like I said, man, I think with Modest and Giddy there's moves that you can make where we could snip the playoffs again. Like, I don't think we're that far off. Truly, it's just all about who are we going to bring in. So we got to see what AK's got on his mind, man.
Absolutely. I love that answer. And question number 5. Now, this was my favorite question, and I wrote this before I talked to you, but we will see a Gilty podcast in the near future, Horns or Thorns.
Man, well, should I break the announcement here?
You know what? Sure, because as a result of participating in Horns or Thorns, you win yourself uninterrupted floor time. So go ahead and address Bulls fans and Horniacs about your little endeavor you got planned.
Yeah, so Horns on that. I'm actually, if you guys have heard of Bulls Roundtable, so that's ran by Gavin Dorsey, Michael Walden, and Kevin Lulu, and we've got other guys like Andre Bass, and I got to get familiar with the team. But starting pretty soon here, Michael Walden and I are going to be running the Roundtable podcast, so that's going to be, I'm looking forward to that, man. I got a lot of cool shit planned for that. I'm actually going to be coming to you for some pointers. Obviously, I told Gavin today, that's what I was talking about earlier. He was asking like, hey, do you know anyone that could like give you some pointers on like how to get it started? I'm like, yeah, either Hayes or definitely you, Sal. So I'll probably be talking to you soon. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to be running the Bulls Roundtable podcast with Mike Walden, man. And I plan to bring on just some good guests. And you know what my mantra is, it's the same as you, just bringing the fans together and bringing everybody together. And I've been saying it for so long, man. We just have so many good people in this community, so many good people in the space. And like you said, it's just such I don't want to say an unforgiving job or a thankless job, but like so much goes into it. And there's so many guys like yourself who just putting in the reps and just doing a great job. And I just think that we have like maybe one of the coolest fan bases out there, and with the people covering the team with that. So like my plan is when I get on the roundtable, man, to host a roundtable discussion, if you will, and just be bringing in everybody from the community, and bringing people together. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
We're looking forward to seeing you on there and supporting you. As soon as you're
Thank
on there,
you, man.
I can't wait to plug you and spread you around, man. And anything
But
you need,
it's the same.
always willing to help, man. I'm flattered
My
that
man.
somebody looks to me for advice, man. That's one of the things that kind of gives me a good feeling inside is I used to ask for help for so many people. I mean, this show, I'm still learning. I'm asking help every single day. So when somebody asks me for help, I feel like I'm doing a good job. So
It's full
thank
circle,
you so
right?
much. Yes, absolutely. And honestly,
Yeah,
we
man.
do have the best fan base in the world, because show me another fan base where despite the team losing and despite the team being like a downward spiral, that we still come out, we make content, we support our team, we love each other. Like, show me another franchise that does that. You know what I mean?
I
Only in
don't know of any.
Chicago. Only
Only in
Chicago, man.
Chicago, man. It's Chicago special, man.
Absolutely. Gilty, thank you so much for joining us. Before we head out, do you got anything that you'd like to share? Anything else besides the show?
Yeah, man. No, just shout out to the fan base, man. Shout out to yourself. Shout out to Justin, man. Just shout out to the creators and shout out to the fans, man. Like we said, shout out to my Discord, dude. It's like we talked about. Like I don't think it's myself that makes it what it is. I think it is the members that come on there. I think it is the discussions that we have in there. Shout out to my boy Kurtz. That's my little brother, man. I told him like, He's been supporting me for like so long. I said, hey, anywhere I go, I'm taking my boy Kurtz with me. So shout out to Kurtz if you're watching this. Shout out to, our on-tap guys like we talked about, Alejandro, man, AD. Shout out to Justin, man. Shout out to Luz. Shout out to Tony, my boy Samir, Q, just the whole on-tap squad, man. Shout out to Roundtable, getting ready to cook up with them. So Gavin, Michael, Kevin, let's get to work, boys. And yeah, we got some cool shit coming, man. Shout out to my boy Drew Stevens too. We were talking, and he just got his account back from the great hacking warrior. Did you see that? People were losing their accounts left and right, becoming car dealerships. So we got Drew back. We needed him back. But yeah, shout out to these boys, man. Shout out to the Bulls Without Borders boys, Hayes, Phil, just the entire Troy, Neil, everybody, man. Shout out to the fan base.
Shout out to all of you. But everybody, that's going to be the buzzer on another episode of the Horns Over Hoops podcast. Before we head out, I'd like to extend a huge thank you to Gilty for joining us today. Please do yourself a favor and hop in that Bulls HQ Discord. It truly is a phenomenal place to be loaded with some of the best people you're ever going to encounter, both content creators and just pure fans as a whole.
Yes.
With that being said, we encourage our Bulls fans and our Horniacs to keep their hoops high, but their horns even higher. Good night, everybody.